Greetings, villains, vigilantes, heroes, and heroines.
You're tuned in to Project Supervillain. We're your hosts. I'm ArcDrifter.
I'm Killboss.
And welcome back to another episode of the Echelon of Epicness.
So today we're going to be taking a look at The Medium. Now this is a horror game that came out a little bit earlier in the year. It came out on January 28th, and that was for the Xbox Series S and X and PC. That's by Bloober Team, so if you've played Blair Witch or any of their other more recent titles, you know you're in for some good stuff.
And it appears that's exactly what happens, and we're going to get into why in just a second here. But first, we'd appreciate if you guys hooked us up with a like and subscribe, just so that we know you guys like this stuff going forward. And welcome to the channel if you're new. Let's go.
Heavily inspired by the likes of horror masterpieces such as Silent Hill and The Shining, The Medium pulls you into its world of duality and terrifying revelations with an appeal distinguishable from many other modern horror works. It combines its perfected atmosphere with a compelling narrative, memorable characters, and ties it together with a masterful soundtrack featuring legendary horror game composer Akira Yamaoka of Silent Hill fame. In many ways, it's both a spiritual successor and a love letter to the Silent Hill franchise, as well as horror games of more than a decade past. But let's dig in and see what's beyond the veil, past the surface, and we'll show you what's at the heart of such an awesome experience.
The tale told in The Medium revolves around Marianne Rekovich, a young woman who, since she was a child, has found herself gifted with the mysterious ability to communicate and interact with the spirit world and its inhabitants. On the day of her father's funeral, Marianne receives a mysterious call from a man named Thomas, who seems to know a great deal about her and requires her help. Hesitant but intrigued, Marianne sets off for Neva, an abandoned resort hotel harboring a dark past that looms deep below an enigmatic shroud of rumors and stories about the ill-fated site. As Marianne makes her way deeper into the cursed ruins of Neva, she will have to piece together the truth of the blight that has befallen this once proud marvel. But she will soon find that she is more personally intertwined with Neva than she could ever hope to recall.
So while the story does definitely leave you with more questions than answers by the end, it does keep you enraptured throughout the entirety of your playthrough. You always want more answers, and that desire for knowledge forces you ever onward. Intriguing to the last drop, the story is definitely one of its strongest aspects.
We're gonna have to give the story a 5 out of 5.
The ruined resort hotel of Neva is one of horror gaming's richest and most believable settings that we've seen in recent years. Grime, dust, broken glass, and blood dress a once proud and flourishing locale that has long since been overcome with corruption and rot. The uneasy presence of its corridors permeates the entire game, as does the sense of lamentation of happier memories now overtaken by pain and mourning. In a similar vein to Silent Hill, the locations feel alive with the presence of the souls that once occupied these spaces. Now vacant, with signs of the lives once lived here scattered about, an emptiness rich with stories to tell creates an unforgettable, foreboding setting that's brimming with a classic horror atmosphere.
The stunning atmosphere and visuals in The Medium are absolutely some of the most memorable that we've seen in recent horror games. While not as memorable as Silent Hill's rusty hellscapes, it does come quite close with the level of quality, and it's absolutely worth the praise.
Yeah, so that's getting a 4 out of 5 from us. Nice job.
One of the strongest points The Medium has is its audio design and soundtrack. The soundtrack itself was composed by Arkadiusz Rakowski and the legendary Akira Yamaoka. Together, they have created unnerving soundscapes of howling winds, scraping metal drones, and metallic tension that will have you on edge, as well as emotionally thematic melodies that rack your heart with the pain and sadness of the long-departed souls that linger at Neva. The haunting groans and creaks of the rotting wood and metal echo through Neva's eternal emptiness, and the spaces in between are filled by the voices of long-departed souls, as well as the evil entities which stalk you from the shadows. Namely, the Maw. Of all the voice work in this game, the Maw is undoubtedly the most menacing. The hatred and pain in his voice, combined with his psychopathic tendencies, make him a truly crazy and unpredictable enemy.
Okay, so Akira Yamaoka is like the King Midas of video game audio. Working alongside Yamaoka is Polish composer Arkadiusz Rakowski, who is known for producing other awesome horror game soundtracks such as the one from Blair Witch and The Observer. Surreal and unnerving, this game's soundtrack perfectly fits and encapsulates everything The Medium is in pure audio horror.
Absolutely, this part of the game gets a 5 out of 5, for sure.
Standard but functional, the gameplay isn't anything mind-blowing or special, but it serves its purpose to deliver the narrative. Most of the gameplay will involve traversing the maps, navigating its obstacles, and roaming to find keys, items, and solutions to puzzles and secrets. Occasionally, there will be some minor stealthing about, traversing treacherous passages, using puzzle items to navigate the environment, or running from the dark entities hunting you down. But ultimately, gameplay is not much more than roaming from one set piece to the next. Of course, its split perspective segments between the light and dark worlds offer an interesting twist on the experience. These sections often require you to solve puzzles in one world to progress in another, which adds an extra layer of depth to certain puzzles that would otherwise be flat and standard. The only downside is that playing in both perspectives at once can be distracting at times. Allowing players to switch worlds at the push of a button would streamline this already awesome feature and allow you to truly take in the unique nature of each world.
With the gameplay being more or less a vehicle to carry you from one act to the next, it's not usually the most exciting thing the game has to offer. Though it has tense segments and big brain moments, the narrative was definitely the main focus. Not terrible, just purposeful, but nothing more.
So yeah, with that being one of the weaker aspects of the game, we're only going to give that a 3 out of 5. Serves its purpose.
It did fine. Quality, not quantity. That seems to be the running theme with the medium, and its characters are no exception to the rule. While few, each one is presented as an individual, not an archetype. Rather than simply filling a role, each character feels fleshed out, human, and alive. Or not, as the case may be. From people, the spirits, and the evil beings that hunger for your soul, not a single character in the medium feels wasted or out of place. They all have intriguing stories behind them, importance to the narrative, and they all have a necessary part to play. This is to say nothing of the voice acting, which is undeniably phenomenal work by a very talented cast. In particular, the voice work done by the dark entity known as the Mob. We have mentioned this before, but he was one of the best we have personally heard in a long while. Good job.
There's hardly any forgettable characters in the medium. The choice to stay focused and not make too large a cast was definitely the right one, as each character in this game is believable, fleshed out, and important. Combine that with some awesome voice acting, and the price is right.
Yeah, I gotta give a big shout out to the Maw, for sure. Like, that one was my favorite voice. This part of the game gets a 4 out of 5 because it was pretty freaking awesome.
So with all of that being said, most of the categories have gotten a pretty high ranking, so we are going to have to give this game a final ranking, and I think we've decided on an 8 out of 10 for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be an 8 out of 10 on the Echelon of Epicness. That's pretty epic.
It's not often in this day and age that you find a single-player horror game of this level of quality. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's some good stuff out there, but it either has, like, just some scary stuff with a lot of action influence, or it's just not really that great of a product at all. This is a love letter to a lot of survival horror fans and fans of psychological thrillers and things like that. It is just a great package overall, and I'm super impressed with what Bloober Team has done here, because, like, I didn't mind Blair Witch, but, you know, it definitely wasn't as good as this. Like, this is definitely a huge step up.
Yeah, let's hope they can continue the trend of awesome horrors and that their next one's even better than this one, because it doesn't get much more better than this, honestly. They did a great job. Fantastic. 8 out of 10, for sure.
There you have it, folks. That is why The Medium is such a cool game. Definitely one of my favorite horror games that has come out in recent years. Again, it's got a few weak bits to it, but most of it's a really awesome experience, and it is definitely a love letter to the Silent Hill series. Go and check that shit out if you're a fan of that, or just horror games in general.
Highly recommend this horror experience here, guys. But that's going to be it for today's show. If you guys do enjoy this kind of stuff, if you like the video, please leave a like. It actually helps us out so much. And share the video with friends if you want to. That really supports the channel a lot too. And if you guys want to support us further, you can check us out at twitch.tv/ProjectSupervillain, where we stream Fridays and Saturdays, usually around 9:30 p.m. Eastern Time. We play a lot of different games there, and we'd love to see some new faces show up, so feel free to come on by. We appreciate it. But that's going to be it for today's video, guys.
Okay, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching.
Project dismissed. Peach out.